How's your son doing?
Great.
Yeah.
He's 4.5 months now. He he's just learning how to roll over on both sides, from his back to his front and from his front to his back.
What's his name?
Xander.
Sander. And while you're on tour, how do you get a chance to see your wife and your son, or
No,
no, they're not, let's say, flying in once in every
no,
now and
I
then?
think it's just too hard. In America, it would be easier, but with the time change and he's kind of on a schedule, to like turn that all around just for like a week for him to come out here. It's not going to happen.
Okay. Um, we go to the lyrics. Well, I think the most personal one, I think, is left unfinished.
Mm-hmm.
I just pick a line and maybe you can comment on it, or we'll see. Uh, you just pretend you've never heard or seen the name Lawrence Matthew Cardine.
Mm-hmm.
That, I think that was. Have you come to terms with your adoption?
Um, I don't know. You know,
No, so it's
Probably not.
no,
Yeah.
because it was really personal. And I think, well, you said everything you wanted to say. I think.
Yeah, I mean, I
No.
made it pretty clear what my feelings are, in that song.
And was it hard to write that song?
Yeah, it was tough at times, especially like trying to write into a song. It's like you're really having to revise over and over and over again. So every time you're revising, it's like you're kind of reliving the moment.
And is it also now when you play the song?
Well, we're not playing it. We were playing it live on the last tour. We're not playing it live on this tour, so.
And do you have you ever seen them or seen?
Nope.
No. Okay. So it's really hard to talk about, I think. Oh, no,
Second question, it is.
Okay, then I'll just switch to another one first.
Yeah, I'm saying I was conditioned to believe that.
But when did you find it out?
When did I find what out?
That you were conditioned to believe it, because at first, when you grow up, then you think it's normal to think what you think. But then at some
Yeah.
point you have to come to terms that you know that you are conditioned to believe it.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe after I went to therapy for a while. My parents were, they were great in a lot of ways, but in other ways they were really kind of, tweaked me a little. So I think you kind of realize that after a while. And
What is tweak? I'm sorry.
tweaked is like, all their issues ended up on you.
Okay. And what in how let's say how important was Machine Head for you uh, with coming to terms with your life? Let's say with your youth.
Well, I mean, in some ways, it's kind of like it's kind of like a therapy. I get to scream and yell and get it out. Um, you know, that said, it isn't like writing one song about something that happened in your life makes it all go away or makes it all better or makes it all kind of change. It just helps you it gives you a coping mechanism, but it doesn't really change anything.
No. No, I think because sometimes when you write, let's say, a song, or when you write your feelings, let's say, onto paper, then you have to think about it, and then it it, it comes clear.
Mm-hmm.
And once you have when you've had that moment, when it comes clear, then I think that will help,
Mm-hmm.
or not.
No, it helps. That's what I said. It's like a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
It gives you a coping mechanism, but it doesn't change everything. It's not like it goes away.
No, but the thing is, it's just it doesn't go away, but understanding is better than antagonizing it.
Yeah.
So that's I think what maybe songwriting sometimes does.
Mm-hmm. if it was as simple as writing a song, though, everybody just write a song and their lives would be fine. You know,
Okay,
like,
oh, that's
you
true.
know,
No, okay, but it's true. But let's say talking about it and writing about it. Then that means you have to think about it, and once you've thought about it, um, things are settling in more and more. That's what I mean.
true,
So not one song
true,
and then it's happy ever after, but
true.
yeah. Okay. Innocence is lost when the blood of innocence spills, and I was thinking that song was maybe about child abuse, or not?
No,
I'm sorry.
Mm-mm.
I thought it was.
No. I mean, you know, I got married 4 years ago. I didn't start writing songs about being married. You know, I had a child. You know, I'm not going to start writing songs about, you know, having a kid or anything like that. I mean, I think that, you know, we do what we do as musicians, and, you know, we've always had some kind of personal life. You know, maybe people don't see that because, you know, they see just like what they see in public or in the media or whatever, what they read in interviews. But, you know, a lot of times the only reason that people don't see, you know, a glimpse into that private life is A, maybe people don't want to expose it, or B, the media doesn't want to cover it. You know, the media a lot of times just wants to cover, you know, the rock and roll story, the drinking and the boozing and the fighting and the, you know, the chicks or whatever. So, you know, that's what they want to use to sell magazines. So, um, you know, I don't plan on writing lyrics about that, you know, in the future, just because something like that happened in my personal life.
No, but let's say when what triggers you then to write a song? I mean, a lyric. Is it something that just mainly within yourself, or maybe things you see, or maybe things
Yeah,
you
definitely,
experience?
definitely things I see around me. But you know, I mean, we're a metal band, and you know, we write about the darker side of life. You know, there's plenty of bands out there writing about love and flowers and bunny rabbits and, you know,
Yeah.
happy stuff, and that's just pop music. You know, there's a gazillion pop bands that write all that crap, and we hate that crap. You know,
Okay.
we choose to write about the dark side of life. You know, in some ways, I think metal is kind of an extension of the blues. You know, in the sense that you're writing about dark things, and maybe not always a happy ending, but that's what we choose to write about, and that's what we'll continue to write about.
Okay, and let's say, have you already written some new songs then now for
No,
the next album? Oh. When what is normally do you write it say when you're on tour, or is it just when you get
mostly at home. We don't really
mostly at
write
home?
too much on tour. You know, you know, we're out here kind of working. You know, we're doing this. The only time we could possibly write would be sound check, but most of that's, you know, that's for the crew. You know, it's for the sound guy, the monitor guy, for everybody to kind of dial in their thing. It's not necessarily for us. So
And how do you write? Do you write always amplified, or do you also write it say on acoustic guitar, or
I've written on both. You
both?
know,
Okay, so no one way.
no, there's no method. Just kind of that happens or it doesn't, or
No, but
you know.
sometimes people swear. Let's say they have to swear. Well, if I want to write, say this type of song, then I start at the piano. I don't know, but for you, it's no one way.
Yeah, it's all on guitar, you know, or it's just in my head a lot of times, you know. Sometimes I can just be driving down the street and I'll hear like a guitar riff in my head, and then I'll just write other guitar riffs over it. I kind of have this annoying thing where I can hear an entire band going in my head, like drum beats and bass lines, and
Okay.
you know, it can be maddening at times, but you know, like other times it works to my benefit.
Okay, so they have to make some, let's say, some kind of chip for you that you can record
Turn
it
it
on.
off,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, I mean, record it on. Then you don't. Then you have everything already, and you
Yeah,
just
you
plug it
really
in.
wouldn't want that though.
No, that's true. Um, but do you always, let's say, do you always start with the music, or is it sometimes also that you've written, let's say, some kind of, I don't know, poem or
Most
maybe
of
a
the
lyric?
times it's with the music.
Yeah.
The majority of times it's with the music.
And the lyrics that you put on it, is it something to do, let's say, with the feeling of the song, or
Definitely.
okay, and then you write, let's say, when the song is finished, or I mean, the music structure is finished, or
Uh, no, no, you know, the song could still be unfinished, and I could write lyrics to it. You know, the lyrics might take it in a different way. You know, like I might want to add something else after the fact. There's no real, you know, you just kind of all go by feel. You know, you just kind of go all by how the vibe of the song is going.
okay. So try again some lyrics and maybe see if it works or not.
All right.
No, if you don't want it, then we don't do it.
I just, you know, like a lot of the lyrics to me, is really about letting the listener get their own interpretation out of it, and not necessarily making it like, okay, this is what the song's about. I write it so that it's pretty obvious what it's about, but I also leave metaphors in there and kind of leave it open so that they can get something out of it as well, and don't necessarily always want to have to explain everything.
No, it's true, but some songs are pretty obvious that they are mainly about you.
Yeah.
And
There's only a couple.
Yeah.
There's a couple of songs on there. Most of it's more general.
But say if you listen to music yourself, are you interested in the person behind the music, or not? Or is it just for you music?
It depends on the band.
Okay.
Sometimes, sometimes I listen to bands and like I'm really intrigued by the music. Like the music will really grab me, but the vocals are just kind of like something that's happening in the background. Like a lot of like metalcore bands are like that. Like the vocals are just kind of like there.
Yeah.
But the riffs are awesome, and so I'll trip off that. If there's something being said that means something and something important is being said by the singer, then I'll want to learn about them. Then I'll want to kind of figure out what the deal is.
No, but it's the same thing that you have, because your lyrics are also, let's say, you are writing about things. When you read your lyrics, then I think most of the people are interested in you because of the lyrics. So that's why you know what I mean? That's why I'm trying to maybe just to get the person out of the lyrics.
Yeah. Well, you can get the person out of the lyrics. I just don't want to explain all the lyrics.
Okay, then we'll just see. Let me see. Energy, number 4. Could you have written, let's say, a lyric like that 10 years ago? Because for me it deals with the environment.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like a political statement.
Yeah.
I could easily see that being written on Burn My Eyes for sure.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah, maybe not quite so poetically.
Yeah.
I think that's the one thing with that song that I'm probably most proud of, is that I was able to kind of, without sounding too corny here, like kind of take it in this poetic direction without being so blunt about everything, and it really made it fit the song good, I feel.
But are you working on becoming a better writer? Or
Always.
are you just
Always, yeah.
Or is it just something that you've grown into because you're doing it 10 years now? But do you also, let's say, actually active-wise working on it?
No, yeah.
Yeah,
I've read books on like writing lyrics and and taken that and tried to refine things. I think on Supercharger I really refined my lyric writing. Like I was able to kind of like narrow down what I was trying to say into a concise message. And then on this last record, tried to do that same thing, but then tried to add like this more, intelligent kind of poetic license into there, that made it a little more, just kind of cooler to listen to your ear,
Let's say if you now look back on the first album, is there, let's say, a song or a lyric you're saying, well, if I could have written it now, then...
Yeah, well, there's too many of those.
Too many?
Every record.
Too many.
Yeah,
Okay,
on
yeah,
every.
yes,
I can
okay.
listen to every record and pick it apart.
Yeah.
I would have done that different. I would have said that differently. I would have sang that differently. I would have played that differently. I would have had Dave do this differently.
Yeah.
Like I could go through every record and find those things.
Still, and this one also now.
Totally.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Totally.
Do you have, let's say, one example of one, I don't know, song? Or
No,
lyric?
I don't.
Okay.
I'm not going to let the listener know what it is.
Okay. Let me see some let's say some normal questions. When will the 10-year anniversary show be released on DVD? Because I read to your, let's say, your messages on the website, and I read that you recorded, let's say, a show. Will it be released?
It's possible that it may be released in conjunction with the main DVD that we're releasing. We're going to be filming our Brixton Academy show here in London, and several other UK shows. We're going to be putting that out at the beginning of the year, and it's possible that we may belly band the like as a bonus limited edition kind of a deal on there. Still in the talks right now.
Okay, so I'll just have to wait and see. I was wondering, is it maybe in retrospect the best thing that could have happened to you the last couple of years that you didn't have a record deal between Supercharger and this album?
I think so.
Now, when you look back on it,
I mean, I think the fact of just Aru leaving, which in a lot of ways just made the whole writing process so much easier. You know, the three of us were always going this way, and he was always going this way, and you know, it just got tiring and annoying after a while. So, you know, just writing as a three-piece really helped kind of, you know, bring the band back to like, you know, just solidifying what we really wanted to do without having anybody kind of pulling in any other directions.
but were
And
you
then Phil coming into the project, you know, Phil Demmel coming in, just, you know, now it was, instead of three guys pulling the same way, now it was four guys, so it made it even more so.
but were you aware, let's say back then, let's say a few years ago, that the process was always happening three of you this way and Arrow that way? Was something that came into your mind when he actually left? You was thinking, well, hey, this
I mean, I think we kind of knew it
oh, you
during
know.
the writing process for Supercharger. You know, he was kind of doing that, but you know, we were just, you're trying to make things work. You know,
Yeah.
you play to your strengths, and you know, you downplay your weaknesses, and you just try and make, you know, things work. You know, in the end, they didn't work.
Okay. And do you still speak to him?
No.
Email? No, nothing. No friends anymore.
Don't really have any reason to, you know.
Okay, that could be because I think sometimes you could say, well, if you had, let's say, had a relationship with him that long, then maybe that's something is still there when he left. But okay, there isn't. Um, what is the best compliment you've had for your music? Because you were saying also in the in on your side, you were saying, well, people come to us and they'll say, well, that's good, that's good. But I was wondering, what compliment really comes to your mind when made
It wasn't anything that was said. It's there's been a few shows, you know, quite a few shows on this tour where like, you know, like a girl will be crying in the audience like when we're playing a song, or like a guy will be crying in the audience like when we're playing a song. You know, like they were moved that much by whatever song it was, be it The Burning Red or Descend the Shades of Night or whatever it is. Um, you know, when you see that, it's like you almost, you know, it almost makes you want to cry. Like you don't know what to do. You know, you're just like, wow. You know, like it's pretty amazing that, you know, some song that you wrote 5 years ago could move somebody to do that. You know, that's says, you know, more than anything.
And what song can make it for you? Let's say I'm sorry, song of someone else. You were saying, well, that's really special to me.
I don't really cry to other people's songs, you know.
No,
but
but it could be no, but let's say when you while you're growing up a song that's still, let's say when you hear it now, you say, well, that was really a song that triggered me into going into music or writing or maybe a band.
well, it certainly wasn't a song that made me cry. It was a song that made me just like, you know,
Okay, yeah.
you know, probably a Metallica song or a Slayer song or a Black Sabbath song or something. You know, the first time I heard Black Sabbath, I was like terrified. You know, I was
What
stoned.
song? What song? What
I was
song?
stoned. Excuse me. It was Iron Man,
Okay, I remember.
and you know, I was stoned. I was like 13 years old. I mean, Ozzy was already, you know, doing a solo thing, but
Yeah,
my friend had a Black Sabbath record. We sold our souls for rock and roll,
yeah.
which was like a best of, and you know, I heard all that and the distorted vocal, and I was just like, oh my god, you know, like I thought I was going to hell
Yeah,
for
yeah,
listening
yeah,
to
yeah.
it. So I was like terrified, didn't want to listen anymore. And then, you know, after that, I was like, I need to hear that again. You know, like that was killer.
And when you hear the song now, it still has has the same effect.
No, you
No,
know,
no, no.
I still enjoy it.
Yeah.
It doesn't scare me though.
No,
I
I
don't think
know,
I'm
no,
going
no,
to
no, I know
hell
what you know.
anymore,
So no,
you
no,
know?
okay. But I was thinking, let's say, emotion-wise, that's the thing. It's still a good song.
It's still a classic. I
Yeah.
mean, you know, it was
And-
the ultimate.
And let's say you were 13 then when you listen to the song. When did you drink your first vodka? Was it around the same period?
First vodka.
Because you're really a vodka band, I think.
I remember having my first beers around then. Yeah, I was, you know, 15 or something. I don't know. like I remember just like kind of raiding my parents' liquor cabinet and like pouring all of the boozes into one glass. It's called a suicide, where you just pour all of them in
yeah.
there. So like gin, vodka, whiskey, drambuie, just like 6 things in there, and that was the first time that I ever really drank hard alcohol. I don't remember drinking my first vodka per se.
No, because you're really into vodka.
Yeah, just over time I've discovered that I
Okay.
like vodka. That vodka kind of, if I drink brown alcohols or like whiskeys or rums or anything like that, like I tend to get a little violent, and kind of want to fight everybody. And vodka, like, just makes me kind of be like silly, like I'll go run down the street naked,
Yeah,
before
yeah,
or
yeah,
something like that. And
yeah.
I'd rather be that guy,
Then
you know. I'd rather
the
be
aggressive.
than the other guy.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Um. Let's say. And how important is wakeboarding for you?
Fucking love wakeboarding, man.
How
Like, that's
come?
my new. It's just my new addiction, man. I love it. It's I used to skateboard quite a bit as a kid. It's a little difficult for me to skateboard now because hands and
Yeah.
concrete, falling, and concrete's pretty hard now. When I was a kid, concrete wasn't quite so hard, but now it's pretty difficult.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I know you get older, and
Oh, that way.
yeah, and
I was thinking.
water's a little more forgiving.
Yeah, for
Though
you.
not much. Water is forgiving though, and I love the vibe of wakeboarding, man. You go out there, you pile 9 of your friends on a boat, and you're drinking beer, and it's the sun, and you're
Yeah.
on a lake, and it's awesome, man.
And do you think your wife is now getting more better than you?
No, she kicks my ass.
Yeah.
Like, she's way better than me.
Okay.
Like, way
Way
better
better.
than me.
Okay. Um.
I
I
mean,
w-
she's doing like, flips, like, those kind of backflips and shit. I mean, she's
and
amazing. I can't do those.
and what are you doing then now then on
I can
on
like
your
I
wakeboard?
can jump the wake. I can do 180s. I can pop ollies. I can try that thing, but I get about like halfway and just go,
And then yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know.
And let's say for the music, how do you write with three or four of you together, or is it that you come with a song, or you say with a riff or a melody? How does a machine head song, let's say, normally?
Uh,
No, because you were
it's all
saying.
different, but Dave. A lot of times, Dave will write riffs. He'll record a bunch of riffs onto his 4-track and burn them onto CD for me. Give me a CD. I'll fuck around with the riffs, see if I like them or don't like them, or whatever, and we'll just kind of take it from there, and we'll try jamming it with everybody, or sometimes just shit'll pop up spontaneously at practice, and we'll just keep on going with it until it goes someplace.
No, because you were saying, let's say, for this album, you really got back to, let's say, the music part of Machine Head. So I was thinking maybe, apart from Aru leaving, I was thinking maybe you also, let's say, made some adjustments in the way of writing, but
No,
no, not really. And when you look back now, let's say, on the albums, how can you pinpoint them?
pinpoint.
No, let's say pinpoint, let's say, every album in time now when you look back on it.
I still don't understand what you're
I'm
asking.
sorry. Let's say if we now go through the albums, let's say, now when you look back on it, how can you describe, let's say, in a few words what that album means for you, or what stage Machine Head was in, or was it hard?
Just every album has served a purpose, and it's all been one huge learning experience. I can't, everything's had its pluses and
Okay.
minuses, and I would, I'm glad we did things the way we did on some records, and I, learned from mistakes from those same records, and I could pinpoint mistakes that we made along every album. Um, it's been one hell of a ride, man. We're here 10 years later. I can't fucking believe it. I don't understand why we're here 10 years later, but we are. And
But what were you thinking 10 years ago then? about Machine Head? Let's say, did you even had thoughts about the time period, or was just well, we
Yeah,
just
I mean, we had very modest goals. You know, we wanted to sell 20,000 records and open the Slayer show,
okay,
and
okay,
that's
that's
it.
it. Okay.
Like the one local Slayer show. That's it. You know.
Okay. Now I was thinking sometimes people are saying big images. I want to
Oh
go
yeah,
there,
everybody.
there,
Yeah,
there.
everybody comes with it. You know what? That's when everybody gets popular. Then they go, oh yeah, I've always thought. You know, no one's
Okay,
thinking that because you just can't think that big.
that's
You
true.
know, especially when you're like playing to 50 people at a fucking bar. You know, that we had very modest goals, and considering the type of music we played, I think we were being pretty realistic. You know, we weren't writing pop; we were writing extreme music, and the fact that it went on to sell 500,000 records, and we got the Slayer show, and we got the Slayer tour, and we got another Slayer tour, and went on to headline all these huge places. It's and the fact that we're still here, and on having now the second biggest selling record for Roadrunner in 2003. The only record that was bigger was the Nickelback record. So things like that. It's like it's pretty amazing.
And where do you want it to go now for you?
We're just gonna keep on. Right now, I mean, we're definitely on an upswing over here in Europe. Especially over in the UK. Like we're a lot of the shows are sold out. Almost every show on this whole tour has been sold out. Tonight's sold out. We'd like to take it to a bigger level next time. We want to
What do you
take a
mean
step
bigger?
up. We want to take a step up as far as venues and not really necessarily change musically, but take a step up as far as that. We feel like we're in that position now, and just keep on bringing our music out to people. We feel. Frankly, we're not the best band out there, but I believe we're better than 95% of the metal bands out there. And I feel our record deserves to be heard, and we're going to keep on pushing and pushing and pushing ourselves down people's throats until that happens.
Wasn't it strange for you to go back to Roadrunner?
I mean, we're the first band that ever got dropped and re-signed to Roadrunner, so it's cool.
No, but it could be that maybe you were thinking, well, maybe.
I think it was the right move, man.
Yeah, really was.
It was definitely the right move. We have a great relationship with them. We have a different kind of deal. We have a licensing deal, and it's worked out great for everybody. They're happy, we're happy. We're recouped. We don't owe them any money, and there's no bands on the label that can say that. So, we're pretty stoked with the way things have been going. And it was never like a step down. It was kind of like, there was a little hiccup in there, but we're right where we left off, and shit's good.
I think 10 years is really long for, let's say, for a metal band.
Fucking A. Yeah, we still look up to other bands though.
Yeah, what
Yeah. I mean, everybody, you can't like just stop looking up to,
No, I know what you mean.
That's like you get so full of yourself. I'm fucking number one.
No, no. But I was.
We're music fans, like we're complete music fans still. I mean, that's what we started out as, and that's what we still are today. I mean, we're inspired by, there's tons of new bands that, proudly wear Machine Head as an influence on their sleeve. Everybody from Killswitch Engage, Shadows Fall, Chimera, bands like that.
That's the thing I mean.
And it's inspiring to us that, we've had that influence, that we helped pioneer a form of music that, they now aspire to play, blending metal with hardcore, blending hard vocals with clean vocals. The fact that they've taken that and they added their own slant on it, it's awesome for us.
And let's say what is for you then now one of the good bands for you? You were thinking, well,
The bands I just named.
okay, that one. And let's say not metal wise. Are you interested, let's say, even in other types of music or?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I listen to Coldplay, The Cure, Queens of the Stone Age.
Aren't you interested in sometimes maybe making some sort of song or something?
Huh?
Now for you, let's say making also, let's say some more or less more pop rock song. No.
Nah.
That could be once when you're older, and sometimes you see people, let's say the metal, let's say sometimes is it hard in metal to keep evolving? Because sometimes people say, well, it's hard to evolve in metal, and sometimes you have to metal down or let other music styles in, like Metallica did on Load and Reload, more country wise. Or is it for you some kind of?
I mean, I definitely think that, there's always the two sides of the coin. One side doesn't want you to change because it's change.
Yeah.
And then there's the other side that if you don't change, then you stagnate and you just sound like a bad version of what you were doing before.
Yeah.
So, you know, you got to walk that line. You got to find that balance between adding new things that keep things fresh, but you know, not going so far that you know you just turn into a parody of what you used to be. And I think it's just a fine line you got to walk. And you know, the only thing you can really do is just be true to yourself. You know, it's just music. That's all it is. At the end of the day, it's just fucking music.
That's true.
You know, I think a lot of times people try and like paint it. Oh, they changed. They make this big deal because you know you dyed your hair or you know started doing this for whatever. And it's just like you know, it's just music, man. You know, this isn't. I realize that what we do in the grand scheme of things isn't that important. We're not politicians. We're not changing the world. We're not, you know, setting policy on the streets of Amsterdam. We're offering people an escape. That's all it is. You know, an escape, and hopefully with that escape comes a deep connection, and there's some kind of meaning, and that they can get some kind of meaning out of it, and we can just as musicians get some kind of meaning out of it. But at the end of the day, you know, someone else is determining life,